Hello out there, all you folks in Utopia. This is your fellow Utopian, David Primek here, with my 13th Yiddish lesson. Unfortunately, I had to take a hiatus in order to finish a project which I had to finish in the hopes of having some money to pay the rent. Well, it's finished, so now I'm back in action. And here we are. Okay, what you see behind me there is the full-size canvas print of Laura Deckelman's Rebbe with Lulav, which we're in the process of getting copyrights for, and so that we can represent her and make some sales for her. But in the meantime, a bit of publicity doesn't hurt. There it is. It's our new backdrop, which was better than our old backdrop, which was sort of a balagan, which is Hebrew for mess. All right. As promised, I'm going to teach the basics of adjectives and then have a comprehensive review of plurals. Here we go. As you recall, there are three genders in Yiddish, as in many other languages. There is masculine, feminine, and neutral. And there are, according to the experts, three cases: nominative, accusative, and genitive. And according to me, there is also, nominative, accusative, and dative. And according to me, there's also dative. There's also genitive. I'm out of practice here, I'm sorry. Now, I do not know the rules for genitive that exists according to my theory for adjectives. So, rather than lead you astray with my personal pontifications, let's just pretend that the experts are right for now, and that there is no genitive, and therefore no genitive adjectives. I don't believe it, but I don't know the rules, so since I can't put up, I have to shut up. Here we go. With adjectives, we'll use as a model adjective gut, which means good, very similar to English. And I'll demonstrate it's sort of a schizophrenic rule for adjectives, because there's one rule for an adjective with the definite article and another with the indefinite article of a or un in front of vowels. And it depends which case you're in and which gender you're in, and it could get to be pretty confusing. But remember the first rule of Yiddish if you get confused, which is take it easy. There's no big grammarians. This isn't a language of learned discourse, or at least not usually. So if you make a mistake, nicht gefreilich, verfallen. Here we go. First, let's go to the nominative. And in the nominative, you have masculine with definite article, der Guter, with indefinite article, a Guter. Feminine, you drop the resh. It's for the nominative, die Gute, and in the with the indefinite article, a Gute. For neutral, that's where the schizophrenia starts to kick in. Because with a definite article, it's das Gute, just like feminine, except das for the definite article instead of die. And then, with an indefinite article, it's a gut. Go figure. So let me do a couple of examples for you. Der guter Student is da. That means the good student is here. And you can also use the nominative for predicates. Is a guter student. He is a good student. And then you have, for feminine, die gute Studentke is da. The good student, the good feminine student is here. And without the definite article, the indefinite article, sie is a gute Studentke. She is a good student. Now, for neutral, let me put it up here so I can look directly at the camera. Das gute Haus ist herabgefallen. The good house fell down. A good Haus is a Scheinhaus. With the indefinite article, you don't have any case-ending inflections. It's just a good Haus is a Scheinhaus. A good house is a beautiful house. Let me just show you what I just did. And I hope you're good speed readers because I can't hold this up indefinitely. There's the first sheet. And here, as you can see, is the second sheet. And the texts that I'm reading from for accusative. Now, I won't have to show you that again when I do the accusative, but just to be nice, I will. Okay. For accusative, in masculine with definite, it's den Guten. And with the indefinite, it's a Guten. Feminine, it's with definite article, die Gute. Without definite article, a Gute. Neutral, with definite article, das Gute. With indefinite article, a gut. Exactly like in nominative. Now for some examples. Ich sehe den guten Student. Means I see the good student. Let me move the next sheet up here. Ich sehe a guten Student. Ich sehe die gute Studentke. Ich sehe a gute Studentke. Ich sehe das gute Haus. Ich sehe a gut Haus. Again. As you notice, in the accusative for masculine, it has the nun ending rather than the ending. Dem Guten, a Guten. Feminine is the same, however, it's die Gute, a Gute. Neutral is das Gute. And without definite article, a gut. Now, we go to the examples. Ich sehe den guten Student. I see the good student. Ich sehe a guten Student. Again, that's masculine. So and I see a good student. Because it's in the accusative, it has a nun ending rather than an ending. Ich sehe die gute Studentke. I see the good student. Ich sehe das gute Studentke. Ich sehe a gute Studentke. I'm sorry. I see a good student. Female, that is. Ich sehe das gute Haus. And then you have Ich sehe a gut Haus. I see the good house. And then, without the definite article, you drop the suffix entirely, and it's just Ich sehe a gut Haus. That's for accusative. Let me show you the first sheet again, and then we'll move on to the second sheet. Bit rusty here. I had a routine down, or at least a routine in formation, and I was interrupted by this project. There you go. And here are the examples. I'll hold it up a bit longer because it takes a little longer to read, especially if you're not familiar with the phonetic system and just starting out. Now we have dative. In dative, you have, again for masculine, dem guten. And for indefinite article, a guten. In feminine, you have, for dative, all of the inflection for masculine nominative. That is, rather than D, you have der. And rather than you have der guter. And even with the indefinite article, a guter. Now, with neutral, it gets even weirder. With the definite article, you have dem guten, just as you would with masculine. But with the indefinite article, you can either say a gut or you can say a guten, whichever way you like it. So let's get to the examples. Dative is used for several purposes. One is to show the indirect object, whereas accusative is for the direct object. For example, give me a glass of water would be in the dative. Hit me would be accusative, schmeiß mich. Okay, so let's get on to the dative. Ich gebe dem guten Student a Glas Wasser. I give the good student a glass of water. That's masculine. Ich guck auf a guten Student. That's the other purpose of dative, is for static, no, that's Greek, I'm sorry. It's for the nouns that are the object of a preposition. For example, ich guck auf a guten Student. I am looking at a good student. There, it's also the indirect object because you're sticking a preposition in the middle. Ich sehe a guten Student would be accusative. Ich guck auf a guten Student is dative. I am looking at a good student. Okay, now for feminine, ich gebe der gute Studentke a Glas Wasser. I give the good studentess a glass of water. Ich guck auf a guter Studentke. That would be, I am looking at a good student. Ich guck auf dem guten Haus would be neutral. I'm looking at the good house. And then ich sehe, ich guck auf a good Haus, or ich guck auf a guten Haus, depending on how you like to say it. Now, the second sheet here is kind of messed up. I notice now typos all over it, so I won't show you it. But let me show you the chart and the examples that are not messed up. Okay, I'll show you the messed up one so you can have a good laugh at my expense, if you care to. Okay, that's now. Somehow, yes, and I didn't have plural in here. So, plural, there is one simple rule for all adjectives, and that is, regardless of gender, regardless of case, it has a segol suffix. That is, der Gute, die Gute, I'm sorry. The definite article is always die, in plural as well. Die Gute for masculine, regardless of case. Die Gute for feminine, regardless of case. And die Gute for neutral, regardless of case. That's all you need to know about the plural. Here it is, I had it. So we can do some examples here. Ich guck auf die gute Studenten. I am looking at the good students. Or in the indefinite, you can say, ich guck auf gute Studenten. For feminine, it's die gute Studentkes seien da. The good students are here. Or you could just say, gute Studentkes seien da. There is no indefinite article in the plural. Thank God. And then for neutral, ich sehe die gute Häuser. Die gute Häuser. I see the good houses. Or ich sehe gute Häuser. I see good houses. Or ich sehe die gute Häuser. I see the good houses. And here you are. Last sheet of the basic rules of adjectives. There is more, but you'll have to wait for it. So all sorts of exceptions, and variants, etc. We'll get to it in different lessons. Now it's time for our plural review. From last lesson, if you can remember back that far, we learned about plurals that have to be remembered, but not no set steady rule, just very old rules, have a suffix of er. For example, an eye is an egg. The plural of eggs is eier. Bild is a picture. Bilder is pictures. Land, and then you have a plural made from both adding the er suffix and also changing the vowels in the radical. For example, land, it means land. Länder is lands. Plan is a plan. Plener is plans. But that's not the only way of changing the root vowel. A hun is a hen. Hiner is hens. It's equals to a chirik. A zung is a tongue. And singer is tongues. Let me show you this chart. Next we have other changes of root vowels. A boich is a belly or a stomach. But beicher is stomachs. Hois is a house. Heiser is houses. And Hoisen is pants, not to be confused. A Zahn is a tooth. Zähne is teeth. Then you have plurals where the root vowel is changed, but there is no suffix. For example, a Wand is a wall. Vent is walls. Tog is a day. Tag is days. And once again, let me show you this. Really, you can just pause and see this as long as it takes you to soak it in. So I don't really have to hold this up. Funny, I never thought of that before. Okay, that's what you're doing. That way my videos won't be so long. Now, there is a rule with nouns that are human. But they end in "er." They usually have no separate plural form, with some exceptions such as professionals or the word for uncle, Vetter. So let's go through a few examples. Amerikaner means an American. Arbiter is a worker. But a tailor is a Schneider, a cutter, and tailors is Schneiders. A Schreiber is a writer, and Schreibers is writers. Vetter is an uncle. Vetters is uncles. Perhaps an uncle is a profession. Speaking as a long-time uncle myself, I suspect that might be why. Here we are. There you go. Pause the video if you want to see it longer. We're moving on here. Now we get to the other ones that have already been reviewed. But we'll review them again, just because there's a lot to remember with plurals. An Eisenbahn, I don't remember what it means, but the plural of it is Eisenbahnen. That is a something iron. I guess a train or something. How's about I look it up? Hang on. I was close. It means a iron road. In other words, a railroad or a railway. Okay, well, anyway, since it's a stressed final vowel, or a stressed vowel and consonant ending, it has a nun ending, Eisenbahnen. Since it has a nun ending anyway, you separate it with a segel. A Gas is a street. And since it's the only vowel, it's the only syllable, it is a stressed vowel and consonant, and the plural of it is Gassen without a segel. Now, plural ending of a Samech goes with a unstressed ayin ending. That is a ending but unstressed. For example, a Frage is a question. And it can be either Frages or Fragen, just because it's a peculiar noun. A Schmatte is a rag, and the plural of it is Schmattes. And then there are internationalisms, meaning words that have been picked up because we're in a big world with airplanes and tourists and merchants and people going all over the world. And so the outside world has influenced Yiddish, which used to be isolated in a shtetl, and you didn't go outside of it because the goyim would all sick their dogs on you. So you have, for example, ego and ego, and the plural is egos, just like with other unstressed vowels. Radio is a radio, radios is radios. Let me show you all this stuff. It's really just a reprint of my prior partial review before we finished off the job on plurals. Next we get to family names. We're nearing the end here. Thank you for bearing with me. Hopefully the next lesson will be better executed. I'll be back in the swing of things. Okay, there are family names. And just like in English, you have Goldberg, the Goldbergs, who in the plural are the Goldbergs. The Goldbergs are coming over for a visit. The Goldbergs kimmt zu unserer Haus. The Goldbergs are coming to our house. See, this is what middle-aged memory is like. It deserts you at bad moments, as it did with Eisenbahn, and now with visit. Rabinovich, the plural of that is Rabinoviches, which has a segel added there to separate the shin sh sound from the samech, which is because it would sound awkward, except to Russians who like to mix the consonants up like that. Okay. An ending of a mem with an unstressed syllable. For example, an aquarium is an aquarium. Plural is aquariums. A Sturm means a storm, a big fuss. Sturms is the plural. L'chaim is a Yiddish word and means to life. If you remember Fiddler on the Roof, it's a toast. And it's also a prayer. Zochreinu l'chaim, melechofetz b'chaim. Remember us for life, the king who desires life, you would say on Erev Yom Kippur. And, I mean, during the 10 days of repentance. But in Yiddish, since we don't recognize quite so clearly the Hebraic plurals, especially the integral ones, such as l'chaim and mayim and ponim, so the plural is l'chaims. And then there are nouns ending in an unstressed e or n syllables. For example, a koimen is a chimney, plural is koimens. Vulcan is a cloud, plural is Vulcans. Again, it's unstressed, so it has a samech ending. Let me show you that one. Next you have non-human nouns with an er ending. For example, Zummer, summer. Plural is Zummers. Now there is Slavonics with a consonant ending, which always end with a S, a segel samech ending. So, example, tzvak is a nail, and which comes originally from Russian or Polish or something. And in the plural, you have a vowel change and an S suffix. Tzvekes is nails. A nudnik is an annoying or tedious person, And plural is nudnikes. Now we get to the Semitic plurals. There's a ganov, which means a thief, and usually a thief is male, so we have ganovim, thieves. A talmid is a student, and then you have talmidim, meaning students. Now, the Semitic masculine plural of im is used also for either honorific titles or ironic titles, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let me hold this up for you for a minute. Okay, pause it, take your time, and I'll get on to the next thing. Okay. Now to Semitic endings in respected or ironic titles. We're talking just the masculine im ending in some for them. A doctor is a doctor. The plural, since he is respected, an educated man that everybody needs and respects, is doctorim, doctors. A froyer is a stooge. In other words, a nebucher, a nothing. So the plural is froyerim. So you have the three stooges, the drei froyerim. Now in Hebrew, you also have a feminine ending for feminine nouns, which are usually known by the ending, the final hey suffix. Usually will show you what's feminine in Hebrew, except with body parts and other such exceptions, such as a etzba. That's feminine, even though it has no ending. Okay, so since this is Yiddish, we will not use the modern Hebrew pronunciation, but so that people who originally studied Hebrew in Israel can follow this, I'll tell you what it is before showing you the more outlandish Ashkenazic way of pronouncing it. So da'aga would be the Hebrew way to pronounce worry, and in plural it's da'agot. But in Yiddish, the language of Ashkenazim, or Eastern European and German Jews, you would say daige and daiges. And then you have mishpacha, family, which in plural is mishpachot, and in Yiddish it's mishpacha and mishpaches. Now we get very close to the end. You have plurals that end in ach or ech, depending on what dialect you speak. A schlüssel is a key. Schließlich is since it ends with a lamed ending, even though it's not diminutive, it's schließlich, or sometimes it's schließlen, depending again on maybe even just what mood you're in or what dialect you speak. An einikel, there you have a lamed ending, which is a diminutive that had become grafted permanently to the word. It means grandson. Mein kleiner Einikel, my little grandson. And oh, I'm sorry, because it's masculine, it would be mein kleiner Einikel. God will get me for that. And in the plural, It's eine Klach. Die kleine eine Klach von mir. The little grandchildren of mine. Okay. Then there's Bruder. And diminutive is Briderl. And plural is Bridelach in either case. Okay, that means, of course, brothers. A ying is a boy. Yingle or ingle would be the proper way to say it. But yingo, I'm sorry, messing up here. This is what comes of missing for a few days. Ying is a youth. A yingle is a boy, or a ingle, a guter ingle. And the plural is yinglach. Then we have what looks like repetition. I'm actually done. Just the stupid printer went and made too many copies, or they got mixed up with old copies or something like that. That is plurals in a nutshell. And that is the beginnings of adjectives. There'll be more about this next lesson, plus a review of the definite article, which will be coming up a lot now that we're getting into adjectives, which are closely tied to nouns. Okay, now for my Yiddish proverb. This from a renowned Hasidic Rebbe called the Kotzker Rebbe, who lived in Kotsk. And he was a very unique Rebbe because whereas other Rebbes were very kind and very patient and never got angry, or almost never, he was the exact opposite. He had a fiery temper. He, at one point, he locked himself in his room for years, literally. And he had many sharp things to say. Now, there is a concept in Yiddish called yichus, meaning a ancestry coming from distinguished people. For example, the line of King David. There are people, even in this day and age, who have provable lineage, such as the Lubavitcher Rebbe over there, since he comes from the Schneerson family. He was a descendant of the Maharal of Prague, the fellow who made the Golem, who was a direct descendant of David HaMelech, the King David. And yes, there is different aristocratic lines in Jewish society. There are Kohanim, that is people descended from the priestly caste, Leviim, people who descended from the tribe of Levi, and then there are people from Beis David, or from a distinguished rabbi, such as the Kotzker Rebbe, or the Sanza Rebbe. They're all called Halberstam and are very special people. Anyway, that's called yichus. So, regarding yichus, an illustrious ancestry, the Kotzker Rebbe said, yichus is so wie a Kartoffel. The beste Halb liegt in Dreht. That illustrious ancestry is like a potato. The best part is in the ground. Yes, so he said that to deflate the egos of people who have yichus. Now, the term has evolved quite a bit in modern society because in Hebrew there is a concept called racism or bigotry, which is called gazanut or geza. And that's carried over into Yiddish, which is a sort of a Hoover shop vacuum cleaner and absorbs everything. It's absorbed English, it's absorbed Arabic, you name it. Jewish languages are usually hybrids, with the exception of Hebrew, and modern Hebrew is a hybrid too. So, from gazanut, or bigotry or racism, comes the word geja, which nowadays means distinguished family. Someone from a distinguished family is called the gejanik. So, there you are. Interaction between two Jewish languages. Both the modern Hebrew, which I'm still figuring out, and Yiddish. Okay, thank you for your time. This has been my absolute longest lesson yet, but like I say, we had some lost time to make up, plus a lot of review of a very exhaustive topic. And also the beginning of a new topic which will prove exhaustive. More about adjectives next week, and more about more reviews also. Good night, and God bless you all. Thank you.